Somewhat. My camera is resisting. Hopefully I got YouTube. There we go. A little bit of delay on YouTube. All right. Okay, guys. Let's go through our normal set of activities to see what's happening out there in the markets. I haven't looked at the global markets. What's happening out there in the world?
Things are overall red. A few spots of green. Asia closed predominantly red, slightly red, and then Europe right now is kind of mixed. DAX and FTSE are up a little bit. Excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong deal there. And really flat to red. FTSE's down 1.5%. CAC's down almost 1%. So kind of what we're sitting now. Bond yields a little bit lower. Gold and silver a little bit higher, as one might expect when you're starting to get a little bit of concern as to the current environment. So the big thing this morning so far, the SPY, it's a pretty decent gap down on the SPY, 0.75% as we sit here on pretty heavy volume as well, really. So I guess President Trump was making a speech in London, and he mentioned it might be better to make a trade deal after the 2020 elections. So throwing things timed perfectly for a market pullback.
Yes, and apparently they have a Play Nicely dinner at the Palace tonight, so I guess we'll get some news about how all that goes. That'll probably happen during the market hours, so we could expect some potential news disruption today. We'll see what goes on. So yesterday, guys, we had a couple of interesting things to trade. If I look back just real quickly at a couple of tickers, here in the room we were watching APA. It was a great sort of what we call a rising devil. It was falling into the open. It made that pullback that we like to see, sort of hit a moving average. I was watching this 200 moving average on the 1 minute chart, and sure enough, it bounced off of that, had a great sort of pull down. I know we had a couple of traders who were one and done on this trade, so provided a good opportunity. I myself did not trade that. I was looking at Roku. Roku also provided some good opportunities to trade. It did not have that same huge pull up, but it was certainly weak into the open. You could see it was not able to regain VWAP, and it had a great sell-off that you could have taken advantage of. It moved significantly over the course of the day. I mean, this is $15 here, so big move. Plus, I think it had gapped down from the previous day. All in all, it was down like $20-something from the day before. So, a couple of good stocks to trade there. Norm, were you trading yesterday, and what did you end up trading?
No, I traded nothing. I was traveling, so
there you go.
I'm trying to catch up essentially for a week because Friday was a little bit, quiet as anticipated, closed early, but we'll see.
The other one I'll mention is Peloton. It's been up in the news. Let me just give you sort of a broader 1 minute view. It pulled down in the morning, but came roaring back after bouncing off of. Actually, I didn't even have a level there, so I don't really know what caused it. But almost the $33 whole number, and came right back up for $3 or $4 to close at $36.84 at the end of the day. So Peloton has been a mover that's worth watching. So we'll see potentially what happens with that today. So all that being said, we've got a bunch of gappers here to take a look at. So let's get into them. I will just clear this off. We will start afresh. And let's start at the top of the list with something I've never heard of called Bold.
And you're never going to hear about it again because it's being bought out for all cash.
Okay. Well, look at that. That's pretty clear. Look at that. Flat line right up here. Is it being bought out somewhere around 58 and 75 or something?
I thought it was higher than that, but $60 per share is what it's being bought out at.
Share. All right. Well, There you go. Okay, obviously that doesn't look like it's going to be in play. Not something that I will spend a lot of time on then. AXSM, not a great pre-market, but it only 124,000 shares. The daily, though, has been on a trend for this. Therapeutics, so is this a drug trial announcement? Do you happen to know?
This is a drug trial. They had positive results on a drug for narcolepsy. So maybe the pre-market's not great because everybody trading the stock has fallen asleep.
Narco Narcolepsy. Okay, well,
In somewhat related news to this, I actually had an advanced scuba class in college a long, long time ago, and the teacher of the class was narcoleptic. He was a narcoleptic dive instructor, and he had to teach the class on the floor in case he fell asleep and fell over in the middle of class.
Okay, not someone who I hope you did live dives with then.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I guess he didn't fall. He never fell asleep underwater. It was quite strange.
Okay, well there you go. Well, maybe he'll be helped then by AXSM today. SBGL's up on the list, guys. This comes up on the list occasionally. It never trades well. You can see even now pre-market doesn't look good at all. So I'm not going to spend any time on it. I don't like it unless, Norm, you've got a strong feeling. I'm just going to skip right over it.
No, I don't even have it in my gappers because I've got the different ATR filter. So.
Oh, right. Yes. So let me see. Yeah, it's at 32 cents. So that's why. Okay. Baba is on our list today. It's down just 2%, 2.1%. It's been actually moving fairly well. I don't normally like to trade this. However, the last week or so, it's been giving some good trade opportunities, and I've traded it a few times. So this looks like just normal movement. Norm, have you found any particular news on Baba?
I've not seen anything specifically. I think this is probably just playing off the Trump trade remarks.
Yeah, that would make sense. Okay, well, I'll keep it here because it'd be worth setting some levels on. Snap is on our list. Again, another stock I don't like to trade generally. Pre-market doesn't look good. We're just over 100,000 shares. Again, unless there's some really driving news going on here, probably not something I would take much of a gander at.
I'm not seeing any specific news on this on Snap this morning. It just got the volume recently, so I'll keep my eye up to see if anything pops up.
Right. Okay. Next, we have our trio of semiconductor stocks with MU, AMD, and NVIDIA. So if they're all moving, that just tells me that's general industry movement, which, again, could be directly spurred by the trade talks. Norm, I'll group these together. Is there anything that's moving any one of these independently?
No, not that I've seen. Just trade talks.
All right, so they could certainly be in play today, guys. When they go, especially Nvidia, it tends to go MU and AMD. You just never know. The pre-market is not really much of an indication of what's going to happen once the market's open. Like AMD looks pretty good here pre-market, but it could just literally go into a 10-cent chop range at the open or all day. You just never know with those ones. So we'll set some levels, but I don't know what's going to happen. We have another one that's been on our list quite consistently, CLVS. CLVS is gapping down today, 8.5 or 8.7% right now. Again, but this is on a big rise. It's really been just moving here the last little while. Remember, when we look back on the daily, though, this thing has lots of room to move both up and down, depending on the market feelings on it. Normal, I'll assume once again, no specific news here, just gyrating.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything new other than what we've already discussed for the last whatever week, as long as this thing's been running since under $5. High short float on this. I think maybe the squeeze is possibly coming to an end since we've tripled in price with heavy volume. I think that might be what's leading to this a little bit.
Yeah, and I mentioned this yesterday, guys. I'll just mention it again as a reminder. That short float information, it's delayed because of the way it's gathered and put in here. So it could very well be that the short float is significantly lower now, especially with this run up. I can't imagine that that many
Yeah.
people have been holding their shorts through this. So expect that that short float's probably half of what it's being reported, but with the delay and update, we just don't have a way of knowing.
And just to note, let's see, the last time that we would have updated, the number would be from November 15th.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so the short float is updated on every stock on the 15th and the last day of the month, or the day before that if either of those falls on a weekend. And then there's a delay in gathering and releasing the data of several days. So we are right at the tail end before we'll get the new data, but do not have the new data yet.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a good note. So we could be almost 3 weeks behind on that data, and so it's suspect. But this could go either way. Next on our gappers list was Cara, C-A-R-A, and I know I did see some news on it. Not looking great pre-market, but I was confused by the news. Maybe Norm, you got some better indication of why this is down 21%.
And no, I'm scratching my head as well because, like you said, this is a biotech company. It's a relatively small float, 42 million shares on Finviz, 39 on TI. It's got a 14% short float, 15% short float. They had positive trial results, and yet they're down. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there.
Okay, well, I'm glad it's not just me, because I was looking at it saying normally when you get the positive trial results, you see these things pop up. Instead, it's down. Now, I can see that there was a big run up, unless there was some earlier news that it already sort of pushed up on, and this was not as strong a confirmation as people are expecting. But that's not normally the way these things play. So I don't know what to do with Cara, really. I said, other than the fact, look, the pre-market doesn't look great anyways, so it may not make my primary list, but it would be worth setting some levels just in case it pops up. Obviously, I've looked at it in the past because I see I've got some previous levels here, which I may just clear right now. We'll go fresh into it. Last on the gappers list from TI here is ALDX. Again, pre-market not looking great. Geez, we don't have anything that looks fantastic here. It's down 20% or so. I don't have any news on this. I didn't look it up, actually.
And I have not either because, like I said, this doesn't hit my ATR
Right.
on my scanner, so I don't have this up. But looks like they had positive trial results on dry eye disease treatment. Is the only thing I'm seeing.
Okay. All right. The only other ones, guys, that I will mention off the top that I was looking at this morning is AKS. AKS is a buyout by CLF, Cleveland Cliffs. So as you can see here, Cleveland Cliffs is down about 10%, and AKS is up about 6%. It's an all-stock deal, though, so where the set price was at $3.36 a share. However, that's an all-stock deal based on the CLF stock, which means this could move today. So I may just keep an eye on both of these just to see what happens. When you have these buyouts, you just never know. It seems a little odd that that Cleveland Cliffs, which is buying the steel company. So I'm just thinking they may get punished today, but we'll see what happens with those two. Quickly, let's take a look at the NASDAQ. So Bold, we already talked about. ONTX, guys, it's been on this list a couple of times. We haven't spent much time on it. Is it up here? It's a 30-cent stock, so forget it. Don't worry about it. ASLN, I know I looked at that this morning. Did we talk about it? I don't think we did. So low price stock. I know this is a secondary offering. I wasn't sure about the price on the secondary offering. I don't know if Norm, if you have anything on that.
No, I don't research penny stocks.
Okay, fair enough. So, anyways, it seems to be coming into that secondary offering price at about $2.50, but doesn't look that exciting to me. AMD, Roku we didn't talk about in the context of this morning, but it is moving this morning. Looks like it's up marginally. Wouldn't have hit our gappers because it's under a 2% gap, but it's always worth watching these days. And then V-Ray is the last one here. I did look at V-Ray earlier this morning. Again, low price stock. It's under $5. It's a secondary offering. Again, pre-market is not looking fantastic for me, so not an exciting target, but it's up here on the most NASDAQ active. Let's look at the gainers. We don't usually find anything here because they usually are gaining on low volume, but let's take a peek. This is a weird one. DRIO. $10 stock, 130,000 shares traded. What's the float on this one? Really small. Okay, so this is a micro float, 1.4 million shares. That's probably why it's not here. Don't know what's going on with it, but nothing that we generally look at in the room. Mac. Yeah, all that volume is at a single candle, so not exciting there. AXSM we've already talked about. QURE. Higher price stock, but yeah, pre-market looks terrible. eCore, terrible. EVOK, equally bad. All right, ASLM we talked about. ALDX we've talked about. Cara, Plug looks bad pre-market. It's one that often looks bad pre-market. Occasionally, it can trade well during market hours. This is also, to my understanding, a secondary offering, I think. That's the news here. It doesn't look like it's going to be in play particularly today, but I've known it to move, so it may be worth keeping an eye on if it pops up under our list or our scanners later. Okay, and that would be about it for the NASDAQ side. Norm, anything from your side that I should be throwing on the list?
No, I'm still looking. Like I said, I've been out of the mix for a little bit. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I'm behind this morning more than I usually would be. So I'm trying to put my list together now. If I see anything interesting, I will call it out.
All right, sounds good. How about you guys on YouTube or in our room? Anything you want me to put on the list to set levels for a little bit later?
Getting called out for. One of them is LK, Uber, which Uber should be popping up on the gappers here pretty soon. It just needs another 8,000 in volume to get there.
Speaking of which, our gappers now is getting big here. So, all right, let's put Uber on here. Any news on either one of those, or is this just moving with the market? Yeah, both are about 2% off, guys, which is about what we're seeing in the standard gappers. I'll say market-based gappers right now. So, while they've got a little volume, not much. They don't look like they are moving outside of the market parameters, if I can put it that way. Let me do one last check here through. LK has news. Okay.
Yeah, I think there was talk about them being accumulated by hedge funds.
Okay. Oh, so they're getting some legitimacy, eh? All right. Last thing I see that's jumped up here is PDD, another Chinese company, Pinduoduo. And pre-market does not look good on it at all. I don't see anything particularly exciting about it. It is gapping down a little more than the average, but I don't know if that means much on PDD. It's not a stock I like to trade, but here we've got it. Okay. All right, guys, so we've got a nice big list, something to work off of. Let me just, I was going to go to our news, Norm. I don't have a slide to throw up for you.
That's all right. I figured, and I was going to send you one, but I've had issues, so I'll just verbally go through this morning on the announcement.
Sounds good.
On the announcement side, apologize for that, guys. I cranked up my computer after a week of it being off, and for some reason, my mail application isn't opening. So, the scanner contest is still going on. We have not shut it down quite yet. So if you have any late entries for that, if you have a scanner that in trade ideas that you've been working on that you think would be good for the room, post it in the forum. And when Andrew gets back, we'll shut that down. And then the community will vote for you to win either an iPad or an iPhone. Meetups, the only one I have right now listed is London on December 14th. Go out, see Andrew, have a drink with him, talk about trading, talk about life, talk about, I guess, hiking in Patagonia. And he would look forward to seeing you there. I know quite a few people are going to that meetup. Then if you're watching us on YouTube and you haven't been in the room, but you'd like to give it a shot, you can use the discount code PREMARKET24. That is no spaces, no hyphens. Pre-market, the number's 24, and you can try out the room for a week at a discount. Does not auto-renew, does not turn into any other kind of membership. Also, if you subscribe, if you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, you'll be notified of whenever we go live with new content. The Black Friday / Cyber Monday sale, 40% discount, is actually still active. So you can use the promo code Black Friday 19 at checkout and get 40% off a lifetime one-time payment membership. That's all I got, Peter.
Well, and that's plenty.
Peaceful Trader. If you look up top, Abiel has posted a link in the alerts section just above the normal member chat. And if you click that link, it will take you to the forum and you can RSVP there. There you go.
Exactly. So yeah, we'd welcome anybody in the area who wants to go to the area to join us in London. This past weekend I had the chance to be in Toronto with a lot of our members. So shout out to all of our members in the Toronto area who joined us at that meetup. It was fantastic and really good seeing some of you again and some of you for the first time. So and it's always a good mix of long-standing existing traders and those who are just getting into it. So it was a good time. All right, let us get to the, let's get to setting some levels here. So I've got a fairly big list. I'll use the daily chart here to set some levels and see what we've got. So AXSM, we'll start there. AXSM, I'm just going to check and see if this is at all-time highs. It looks like it is. All right, so that actually makes it a little more interesting to me. AXSM at all-time highs, meaning I really have no levels to set. So I've got the previous day's highs and lows already marked. I got nothing else to add here because if it drops below that, we're going to have a significant sell-off and I'll need to revisit it anyways. However, this is one of the few that's up significantly. So, we got nothing to go off. We'll see what happens. Bubba. Now, I've got some levels already marked on Bubba from previous days that we can take a look at here. So, at the high end, I've got levels at 195.72, 201.40, and then way up at 205.62. However, the last couple of days it's been selling off, so we need to look down below here, and I can see it sort of bounced off this level here at a high of 188.28. So let me make sure that my level is right there at 188.28. Whoops. 28. There we go. And I will put a level there. Next level down. Yeah, I've got something already marked here at 179.16. I can see why, because there was some consolidation in here. There's a little spike at these candles. This is not a great level, but I'm going to put it in at 183.77, only because it's only wicked up to this, but never actually opened or closed. It goes through the middle of this range, so I'll throw it in there. I mean, if Bubba starts to drop significantly, I suppose it could hit there, and if it goes that far, then it could get down to where these things all wicked at 181.33. So I'll throw those levels in, and that's probably good for Bubba. That gives us a pretty big range to play in today. Snap, as I mentioned, is not something I'm going to be focusing on for trading. However, if you want some levels on it, boy, this daily 200 moving average is something to watch. It's sitting at $13.68, so I would put a level there just to keep an eye on it in case it's not on my active chart. I noticed that as I look across, look at how where the 200 moving average, it does coincide with where some of these candles sort of wicked out. So that could end up being a fairly strong level if it goes down to that point. After that, we have a couple of days that sort of ended up here around 1350. Let's just move back quickly and see if we've got anything else obvious. There is roughly, again, it's not a great level, but at 1275, where I can see it bounced off here at late October, and then back in June, and again back in April. So That's good for Snap. All right, MU, AMD, and Nvidia. We talked about, who's to say what's going to happen with the trade news. These tend to be very susceptible to that because of their manufacturing activities in China, as well as China being a big market for them. So there could be some impact from the stock. Looking at MU, I'm looking for a good level. I don't see anything I love here. I'm going to put a level here at 41.83. Gosh, I don't really like any of these. That 41.83 is not bad because of this high and then sort of went through this consolidation in this low area. Other than that, frankly, guys, I'm not seeing anything I really like. Look how choppy MU was. It's now at the bottom of that range and breaking down through that bottom range. I've already got a level marked, the pre-market low. So if it goes below that, I don't see anything that a lot of people will be looking at. So I'm going to leave it at that. AMD, we do have a level right pretty much in the price action now at 37.25. You could see that it sort of, when it ABCD'd on the daily here, or hesitated before it moved up. We got a level there. I'm going to mark the bottom of this range as well, roughly at 35.70. That happens to, I like how it coincides with the wick top on this candle. Other than that, I already previously had marked some levels here at 34.20 and then down at 33.10, which I'm going to leave. NVIDIA. All right, NVDA. So, yeah, I've got a level at 193.47. You can see how it came off of the top of this pattern back in April. If this thing goes down today, right here is not a bad spot, 198.75. I like how it's got this moving average pretty much at the same level, the 50 on the daily that's up, as well as, it act as resistance and then support. So if this drops another 350 or so in NVIDIA, it could easily get to that level, and we'll see if it provides any support whatsoever. Down below this, I'm actually going to put two levels here. One at the top of this candle wick at 188.64 and one at 84.97 because of the highs of this little pattern here. So that's good for NVIDIA. See what happens on these three today. CLVS, as I said, it's been on a tear, which surprised me. I remember Norm trading it when it was at $6, and I didn't think much of the stock, to be honest, and it surprised me. Norm's not normally trading stocks at that price, but he was right about it, and it was something that obviously has just had value and continuing to increase in price over time. However, if today is a day where it's going to pull back, this 200 moving average here could prove significant at 13.28.
Well, I've not got shares for short on Clovis, which probably is going to get me to take it off.
That's a good point. I didn't even think to check that. So yeah, and actually, now that you mention it, I remember that yesterday that there was nothing for short either. So for whatever reason, it may be unlikely to have things for short. So if that's the case, guys, it's going to be hard to trade if you can only go to the upside, especially being that it's looking weak, down 8% so far today. So I'm just going to leave it at that with those two levels then, and we'll keep moving here. Kara. Again, I still don't like the pre-market. It is not looking great to me. I don't see any beautiful levels on it, really. Where the price is right now is like one of the best, because it's at least it's in the middle of the price action here. But other than that, boy, I don't see anything. The only thing I could really mark is here at 17.69. You can see it sort of somehow it had support at this several times over this last 6-8 months. So that's worth marking, and that's about it. All right, ALDX. I really don't like it when... So the pre-market is not so good, but look at the wick on this candle today, guys. I mean, so yesterday, had a range that was from low to high, a range of 60 cents. And yet pre-market, it's moved $5. So, something, that's just, it makes me a little nervous when a stock can do that. Was this a... low float? I don't remember the float. I thought it was a higher float. Let me just check here quickly. ALDX. It's 25 million shares, so not super low float, but it's on the edge there. So be aware of that. Look, I will set a level anyways here at $5.09. It's sort of at the bottom where it showed some support, and then down here at what may be the all-time low. It is not, but it's certainly the low in the last 2 years. Down here at $4.35. So those are the two levels for LDX. I put on AKS and CLF. Because it's a buyout, AKS is largely going to be driven by how people the stock value, which is then in turn based on CLF. So I expect CLF to be the driver here. And it depends how people view this acquisition. Is it a good or bad deal? As such, I will set some levels on CLF right here at about $7.10. So you see there's a little bit of support. And then down here, about 677, I'll set a level. These aren't fantastic. Again, CLF, you can see, not a great mover day to day, but today could be its day. We'll see what happens with it. Okay, now a couple that you guys had mentioned that we'll take a look at. Luckin Coffee, LK. So, again, it was up. It's been moving down, essentially, the last couple of days. I've got a previous level at 26.35, which I still like because this is where this candle spiked. And I'm going to add another one here at 27.12, because that would be the spike in that candle. Let's see if I can hit the mark. There we go, 27.12. Down to the low side, still like my 22.96 level, right at the peak of this candle on September the 17th. And I don't know the significance of this level, so I'm going to take that one out. Remove. Or not. It doesn't want to go anywhere. Fine, I'm going to move it all the way down here and put it down at 18.35. I don't think it's going down there today, but we'll see what happens. All right, so there's a couple of levels on LK. Uber. Uber. I was watching Uber yesterday. It had a good trade off the open, when it failed to hold VWAP. So we'll see what happens today. I already got a level right in the price action here today, so I'll leave that. I also put one at the bottom of this candle, which is 27.97. So it just had broken the $28 mark. So I'll put one there, and then the top of this consolidation range, 27.64, and then roughly the bottom of this pattern here at 25.69. Again, these aren't fantastic levels either that I'm in love with, but I'll watch them to see if it proves to provide any support for the stock. Last but certainly not least, PDD. All right, guys, obviously I've looked at this in the past. I've got a few levels on PDD. Let me take them out, reestablish them here. I've got one down at $30.92. Up at the high here, I sort of like this level at 36.77. I got a lot of stuff in the price action because it hasn't moved a lot the last few days. So you can see my previous day's highs and lows are all sort of in here in this price action. I think this is one we might have to watch to see if it actually does anything today. It occasionally can move, but I said it's not normally my favorite trading stock. So there you go. I hear you guys calling out Bubba. Is it? Oh, look at that. All right. So so look, being that this spiked up, obviously printed either one or more orders in here and then went right back to the previous price order. It's almost like you need to ignore this candle, even though it went up more than $3 from the current price. So, yeah, these things happen pre-market especially. So. Okay. So that's a lot of stuff to keep an eye on today. I think for me, guys, if I was to narrow my list, I will keep an eye on NVIDIA because it tends to, move on days like this, and we'll see if it gets good price action. I will keep an eye on Roku, which actually I don't even have on my list here, just because it's moved so well the last few days. Right now, it's not doing much, but I'm surprised it's green here, so it's up less than 1%, but we'll see if anything happens with Roku. And then, and then frankly, I'm going to see what else happens with my gappers list at the open. All right.
Yeah, Netflix could definitely be interesting as well. I know that there was they get a upgrade or a downgrade I heard this morning.
Okay. So far, Netflix is just moving with the market. I see only a 2.4% gap, which is roughly consistent with those that we're
Yep.
seeing gapping with the SPY. But yeah, it could. I mean, yesterday was a weekday. It actually had a couple of weekdays. And, I see it down below that range. So it does look potentially good for a drop. I've got a level that's previously marked here at 198.54, which I'll keep an eye on. And then if it really goes 183 roughly down here, I can see that was provided support on a few days for it. So Netflix, I'm surprised it's actually been holding up so well with all the competitive threats that it's been facing. The last 2 months, it's actually sort of been slowly and generally increasing in price. So we'll see. Maybe today's the day that it drops down. So, okay. All right, guys. Any last things to take a look at? I didn't look at TVIX yesterday. It did that 10-for-1 reverse split. Wow, and it went up. Well, I guess that would sort of make sense with the increase in volatility. This thing had an up day yesterday. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not a stock. It's not something I normally watch. It's not a stock, right? It's a tracking stock. So we'll see what happens with the market volatility this morning. All right, let me just one last time. My goodness, this gappers keeps growing. Anything really exciting that we want to take a peek at?
I haven't seen anything new that's extremely exciting. I like AER, frankly, but it's out of the Netherlands, so I don't think I will trade it. But that's one of the better looking pre-market charts.
Sorry, I have to. Sorry. AER, not ear. Yeah, that sounds familiar. I think I've looked at it in the past. I don't know that it normally trades well, but
Yeah, it probably doesn't. That's why I'll take it off. But
yeah, fair enough.
for as large of a for as large of a gappers as we have, I'm surprised we don't have a whole lot of better things to trade. But as you've mentioned a couple of times, most of this stuff is just moving with the market.
Yeah, well, which, guys, means that we really have to pay close attention to the scanners, and we'll see what jumps up on those scanners, because, with a lot of stuff moving with the market, you may not know which is going to diverge and which is going to, put in the good moves until after the open hits and investors make their play. So looks like we'll have to be very vigilant at the open. So that's all I have to go over this morning, guys. In the room, somebody's asking that I take a look at PBYI. Terrible pre-market. Gapping up 2%, a little less than 100,000 shares volume. Is there some news on this? Easy Chef. Look at that. I had to work that through. Let's take a peek.
Acorn Gold is a cash buyout.
Okay. All right. Well, if this is the cash, it doesn't look like a buyout, but all right then. Okay, guys. So we've got a big list of stuff, as Norm said. Not a great list though. Nothing that jumps out as a must trade for me. So I will take a look at scanners when we open, and I will put my short list, as I mentioned to you, together of things I'll at least throw into my charts, and we'll go from there. All right. So thank you on YouTube for joining us this morning. Appreciate you being here for the pre-market show and joining Norm and I. Carlos normally does this. I should have mentioned on the outset, but he's doing fine. He's just having some internet problems, so somebody cut his cable, or I don't know what's going on. But he's got a guy coming to hopefully fix it today, and he'll be back to do the pre-market show with you tomorrow. We hope, anyways.
You got it, guys. Take care. Trade safe. Thanks for joining us. And I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Take care, everyone. Later.